Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking right now, former President Donald Trump pleads not guilty to 34 felony counts. A circus of protesters and supporters outside the Manhattan courthouse as history unfolds inside. The 45th president of the United States now becomes the first American president charged as a common criminal.
Now to video from just moments ago. President Trump's plane taking off from LaGuardia Airport, headed to his home in Florida. It's good to have you with us, everybody. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. We've been closely following developments from New York by the minute, so let's get you caught up here as we arrive at the 5 o'clock hour. The president facing 34 counts of falsifying business records stemming from hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal, also apparently the other woman mentioned in the indictment. Former president arrived at the Manhattan courthouse a little after 1 this afternoon, where he was processed and arraigned.
And like we said, he's now in the air on his way back to his home in Palm Beach, Florida, where he's expected to make a speech later tonight. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg talked about the case in just the past 30 minutes. Listen.
34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
Let's get now to Jay Gray, who is in New York to kick off our coverage. Good evening, Jay.
Good evening, Devin. Good evening, Kimberly. The entire process here, including a brief court delay, took around 2 hours. Donald Trump now a defendant, the first former president to face criminal charges. As the motorcade leaves his Midtown high-rise, the historic trip to Lower Manhattan is short. Less than 4 miles. Cameras getting a quick glimpse as former President Trump enters the criminal courthouse. Inside, a process unprecedented in U.S. history begins to unfold. Agents reading his rights and fingerprinting the former president. Then, after a short delay,
President Trump, will you come speak to us? President Trump?
Leading him into a courtroom. Still photographers allowed inside briefly before the arraignment. And minutes later, the man who once sat in the Oval Office, standing before a judge, indicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records for his alleged role in a hush money scheme and cover-up involving an alleged affair with former adult film star Stormy Daniels just ahead of the 2016 election. Mr. Trump pleading not guilty. The entire process seemingly unnoticed by hundreds gathered just outside of the courthouse. Those on both sides of this politically charged case separated by police.
Get out of here! You get out of here! Get out of here!
Screaming and cursing at each other for hours. Hatred for so many clearly overshadowing the history here. The scene, for casual observers, almost unbelievable.
I'm just looking at the absence of reality, to put it bluntly. That's all I could say.
As the screaming continues, while the man they're arguing over, now a defendant, leaves the courthouse. His motorcade traveling straight to LaGuardia Airport for the trip back to Florida. The former president expected to address the charges during a rally this evening at his Mar-a-Lago estate. In Lower Manhattan, Jay Gray, Local 4.
All right, Jay. So people on both sides of the aisle, of course, weighing in on what we've been watching.
And there is focus on how this will affect the election in 2024. Take a listen.
They're not prosecuting President Trump. They're persecuting him. And it's all because he's the leading Republican candidate for the presidential election for 2024.
I fear if this just becomes a Trump spectacle 24/7 on cable news, that he's going to benefit in the same way he benefited in 2016.
And our coverage of this historic day will continue over this next 90 minutes of news.
Coming up here at 5:30, we're going to talk with the experts to get some insight on those 34 charges that the former president is now facing.
Then at 6, academics and historians help put today's historic events into context.
All right, let's get to breaking news now here at home. Detroit police have now named a suspect in the sexual assault of an 80-year-old woman on Detroit's west side.
We're going to get to Mara McDonald, who just got an update from police in the past hour or so. Mara, this comes after a 65-year-old woman was attacked at a bus stop.
That's right, Kimberly, and the chief tonight is connecting both of these sexual assaults to one man. And yes, they did give us a suspect person of interest photo. Let's get to that immediately. This is Kenneth Davis Jr. The chief says that he is wanted in connection to a sexual assault of an 80-year-old woman that happened last week near Memorial, the Southfield Freeway, and I-96. Well, the second sexual assault happened just yesterday at Grand River and Ferguson. What do these two have in common? They're both in Northwest Detroit. The chief asking and putting out the plea to Davis this afternoon to please turn himself in, but he also has a request of the community. Take a listen.
We do not want anyone out there trying to make a citizen's arrest or to stop him or engage him in any way. Leave that to us, and we will do just that, get him off the street and get him into custody.
Back here live. So our sources tell us that there is DNA evidence that links both of these sexual assaults. I asked the chief about that this afternoon. He demurred when I asked him about it. He simply said he was not going to go into the investigatory evidence that his people have, only that his special victims unit has been working very hard. We're live at Detroit Police Headquarters tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, Mara, let's turn our attention to the weather here quickly. Check out this map from the Storm Prediction Center. This is the threat of severe weather for tomorrow. And as you can see, most of the lower peninsula in the enhanced risk zone, and that's the highest we've seen in quite a while. In the clear for now, but it's going to change.
Let's get over to Kim Adams. Talk about the timeline here, Kim.
Well, you know, first of all, it's rare that we have this kind of an event this year, early in the season, if at all, for us to be in the enhanced risk area. Now, for tonight, we do have a marginal risk. We have a couple of storms popping, but nothing is expected to really become severe until tomorrow. And that's when we go into this orange, which is level 3. That's an enhanced risk. The biggest threats right now are for hail and also for tornadoes. Here's your timeline. During the morning commute, a few scattered storms are possible. Now, depending on how many storms we get in the morning, that could rob some of the energy in the afternoon, and that would be a good thing. Looks like we'll get a brief break around lunchtime, and then between 1 and 5 o'clock, we'll get our first wave of severe thunderstorms, and then a second wave right during that evening commute between 4 and 7 p.m. Again, the highest threats will be for hail and tornadoes, and in an enhanced risk area, they could be EF2 or maybe even higher than that. But it doesn't mean that everyone is going to get the severe weather. This could also be a bust, and I'll talk about why that's possible coming up in your forecast.
A Wayne County Sheriff's deputy is recovering tonight after being stabbed while trying to arrest a man who cut off his tether.
The deputies then opened fire, shooting the man inside the home on Webster Street, not far from Woodward and 8 Mile. Sean Lay live for us on this story. And Sean, do we have any word on the suspect's condition yet?
Stable condition right now in the hospital. Here's the story here. We're talking about a 25-year-old man charged here in Wayne County with felony assault with a deadly weapon, cutting off his tether in Ferndale. That's what brought deputies to his door today. It happened here inside this home on Webster Street in Ferndale. Wayne County Sheriff's deputies, part of its tether team, traveling here to Oakland County. A man charged with felony assault with a dangerous weapon, placed by the courts on a tether, not held in jail. He cut the tether off. Deputies have to keep track of anyone who cut their tethers off. Deputies were let inside the home. The man ran and barricaded himself in a bedroom. Sheriff Raphael Washington says the man then emerged armed with 2 knives. What happened next?
Well, they tried to get the officer to stop. They even tried to get the perpetrator to stop coming toward them, and they used the tether, and that didn't take effect, and they had to use the force necessary to stop him from hurting us.
The sheriff tells us there was a scuffle and a taser did not take effect. Ferndale police with more information late today that deputies shot a man during the struggle, and then a deputy was stabbed in the leg after those shots were fired. Video taken by a neighbor across the street. You can hear the man being taken to an ambulance saying he's suffering from a mental health crisis.
You're now trying to deal with a condition of a person, and you have to deal with that condition and still understanding that it's not the person because they're not in their right mind.
Just got an update. I checked with the sheriff's office again. The man shot in stable condition, still in the hospital. The two deputies hurt, one with a stab wound, one hurt his hand during the struggle, expected to be released from the hospital any minute. Kimberly?
Okay, Sean, thank you. Chaos today at a Detroit tiny home as bailiffs tried to evict a woman who refused to leave. The saga between Tara Brown and Cass Community Social Services has been playing out for months, and today the situation finally came to a head. Victor Williams was there as things turned violent. Victor.
Yeah, Kimberly, talk about an intense situation. You had dozens of protesters that were refusing to let this woman be evicted, but at the same time, you had court officers refusing to let her stay.
We're going in. You in the way?
Things turned chaotic between protesters and court officers during an eviction on Detroit's west side, with a few dozen officers from DPD watching on.
The bailiffs, actually, they've been roughing up people who've been defending Tara's house.
Tara Brown is the one being put out of her tiny home through a court-ordered eviction. She claims it's all because she spoke out against her landlord, Reverend Fowler, with Cass Community Social Services, better known as CCSS.
This is what a home defense looks like, and this is what landlords can expect when they go to retaliate against tenants and throw them out. This is a lie. She told people that she was giving us tiny houses.
Protesters from multiple organizations, including Detroit Eviction Defense, have taken it on themselves to make sure Tara stays in her home. And although all of her belongings were taken out, some protesters are refusing to accept that even now.
We need to keep people in their homes right now. There is no housing available for people in Detroit.
Feeling confident about fighting back, and we're not done. We're just getting started.
Now, in response, Reverend Fowler sent us the following statement, which reads, CCSS tried to exercise extreme care to avoid the emotional event that took place at the tiny homes this morning. We never condone violence and planned with the courts, law enforcement, and additional parties to make sure people, Ms. Brown, the protesters, the bailiffs, police, neighbors, staff, and onlookers would not be injured or arrested. Conversely, Ms. Brown and the outside group have been announcing for weeks that she would not vacate the home and that they plan to use any means necessary to avoid the court-ordered eviction. And that's exactly what we're seeing playing out with many of these protesters right back here in front of the home. Victor Williams, Local 4.
All right, Victor.